Hey everyone, it's Anna and I'm back with another vintage cookbook. This time I'm reviewing Put the Un in Cooking Fun with 7-Up, the Uncola. Yes, that really is the title. I'm not even going to tell you how many times I had to do that take. This book was published in 1969 by the 7-Up Company, and this book definitely looks like it was published in 1969. The illustrations are just amazing and so colorful, and I love them so much. It's like very, very groovy here. I mean, I want to go to this party. So let's start flipping through and taking a look at a few of these. One downside of the illustrations is that they don't actually show what the recipes are supposed to look like, but I kind of don't care. Just look at these. Like, these are amazing. The cakewalk, the cookie pot. I don't even know what this is, but I love it. Oh, they're pancakes. Okay, there's a pancake recipe right next to it. I've never made pancakes that look like that. This one, I had to reread this like a few times and then I finally figured out what they were talking about. From hoof, feather, and fin. I don't know what I thought they meant. Hoof meaning pork chops. There's a recipe for pork chops right next to that illustration, but I was like, are they eating hooves? They are seriously investing a lot of time and effort in this Uncola thing, and they keep adding un to everything. I'll just kind of read through the introduction a little bit. Un in cooking, that's right. When a recipe calls for a liquid, use sparkling 7-Up, the Uncola. In addition to the liquid needed in your recipe, 7-Up also provides these oh my lord. This word should be irresistibly, and they changed it to unresistibly. So the sentence is, 7-Up also provides these unresistibly flavorful touches. No, you're taking it too far. Oh man, so they talk about the lemon and lime oils. They talk about carbonation and using that in baked goods, and then basting meats in 7-Up with, you know, having the sugar sort of caramelize on the outside. All good things. The closing line of this introduction is, for these reasons, 7-Up recipes are in a million. I hate this so much. Whoever wrote that was committed. They were just very committed to this whole marketing campaign. Now, you may have a hard time believing this, and I don't want to disappoint anyone, but there are no gelatin molds in this book. I couldn't believe it myself. This seems like the perfect book for gelatin molds. I think when I covered the Dr. Pepper cookbook, there were gelatin molds in there. I know there were. So maybe by 1969, these things were starting to sort of like fall out of fashion a little bit. I'm not sure. I know they probably still existed through the 70s, but as I progress through the decades, it seems like I'm not seeing as many show up in these books. Just getting into a few of the recipes, there were a few that I considered making, one of them being this tuna casserole with 7-Up. I'm not really sure what 7-Up adds here. The ingredients seem like just a normal, typical tuna casserole from what I'm seeing. There's asparagus in it, that's a little bit different. I personally like peas in my tuna casserole, don't come at me. But there's a whole cup of 7-Up in this. I am really curious about how that flavors this casserole. That just seems really strange to me. So we're back at it with the thing. Uncredible cheesecake. That doesn't even make sense. Uncredible. This cheesecake is not credible. It's an interesting recipe, but the title is kind of ridiculous. This is another one of those cookbooks where they have to take one branded ingredient and make sure that it makes its way into every single recipe. I love that. You get some odd combinations. German potato salad. I mean, I've heard of German potato salad. I've probably eaten it, but why would you put a cup of 7-Up in it? I don't know, maybe the sweetness like complements everything else, but I just remember it being kind of like a hot vinegary salad. That sounds bad. Oh, here we go. Here's another tasty treat. Salmon loaf with vegetable cheese sauce. That doesn't sound too bad. I mean, I like salmon. I ate salmon patties a lot growing up as a kid, but this recipe contains, again, a whole cup of 7-Up. Then the cheese sauce that you serve it with also contains an entire cup of 7-Up. So the loaf has 7-Up, the cheese sauce has 7-Up. You could make a full meal with just every single dish having 7-Up in it. Let's have a 7-Up feast. Getting into the recipe that I am going to be preparing today, my body has been like, hey, you're eating a lot of weird food lately. Why are you eating so much cream cheese and Velveeta? Can we get a vegetable over here? My whole being is crying out for a vegetable, so I decided to go with a vegetable dish this time. Today I'm going to be preparing Sweet and sour green beans. I feel like this could be sort of like a bean salad. I only say that because you can serve this hot or cold. I'm probably gonna try it hot. This recipe has bacon, onions, our old friend pimento, vinegar, 7-Up, salt, and canned green beans. Surprisingly, no Worcestershire sauce this time. They have a couple of other vegetable recipes too. There's sweet potatoes and carrots. And actually, I could see where those two would be pretty good with 7-Up because you've got like the sweetness in both carrots and sweet potatoes, and that could really maybe complement it. This sweet potato recipe, it's a little bit like a sweet potato casserole with bacon. There's brown sugar in it and butter, and then your 7-Up. I mean, I could see that being kind of delicious with maybe like a candied bacon topping. Okay, well the carrots have diced celery in them, so I'm not excited about those. There's one recipe in here called Chicken Jubilee. I thought that recipe sounded kind of weird. It starts out good, you know, you've got chicken, butter, 7-Up, brown sugar. It sounds like you make sort of a basting sauce and then you cook everything. But then you add a 1-pound can of pitted Bing cherries. It's probably fine. It's probably like sweet and sour chicken. I'm just gonna say that Chicken Jubilee is kind of like sweet and sour chicken. There's some baked goods. We've got cranberry orange bread, date nut bread, your pancakes from earlier, upside down gingerbread. Oh, that sounds good. It sounds like a pineapple upside down cake with gingerbread. I'd like to try that one. We've got several cookie recipes, a couple of pie recipes. You could have an entire meal with all of the recipes containing 7-Up. I smell a theme party. Well, I think it's time to get started. So to start, we fry the bacon and the onion together. The bacon is supposed to be diced. Just a little piece of advice, use scissors to cut your bacon instead of a knife. It just goes a lot quicker and easier. You know this is gonna smell amazing because it's bacon. So I've got it on medium. And then our little onion rings right here. Cut that all together. Okay, so it actually looks like you cook bacon and onion, pimentos, and all of the liquids together, and then you simmer that to make a sauce, and then you would add your beans. I'm gonna turn this down. I haven't done much in the way of vegetables with these videos yet. It always seems like they're in a Jell-O mold, and I don't really want to make one of those just yet. Ooh, oh, Dottie is interested. You smell the bacon, don't you, girl? Yeah. Usually she's only interested in what I'm doing, what I'm cooking, when there's beef or bacon involved. Sometimes cheese. She was pretty enthusiastic about the last recipe with the cheese. You definitely think you're getting some bacon, don't you? Yeah. I gotta leave this alone. I'm one of those cooks who like pokes and prods and stirs, and yeah, I can probably just let this do its thing. I'm gonna let this go just a little bit longer. The bacon just needs to crisp up a bit more. Yes, you're right there, aren't you? Wow, you are right under my feet, Dottie. Yes. You know where the good stuff is, I guess. It says to pour the fat off of this, but there's really not that much to speak of, so I think I'm just gonna let it go. I'm gonna lower the temperature, and next we add our vinegar and 7-Up and pimentos. We're gonna turn this off. This is angry. Here we go. That was dramatic. And we have our 7-Up, the Uncola, and that's 1/3 cup. Okay, it's calming down a little. I'm gonna turn that back on and just let this simmer for about 10 minutes. As you can see, this has reduced quite a bit. It's kind of thick and syrupy. There's not a ton of liquid in here. It has a nice like sweet and vinegary smell. So now I'm going to add the salt and the beans. So we've got our green beans, a full can, and a little bit of salt. And I'm just supposed to mix this thoroughly and let it heat through. I'm gonna switch to a spatula. I always prefer a spatula. I'm just a spatula kind of gal. I mean, if you think about the flavor combination, we have the sweet from the 7-Up and the pimentos a little bit, and then salty bacon, and then we have like that tart apple cider vinegar. I like those flavors together. This seems promising. All right, I'm just gonna let that heat through, and then it's time to give it a taste. These are our sweet and sour green beans. These look pretty delicious. Who doesn't like green beans with bacon? So I'll dish a little bit of this up for myself. Get a nice combination of the bacon and the pimentos. The sauce itself did thicken up quite a lot and reduce, so I'm hoping that these are pretty flavorful. Here goes. It's pretty good. I think I would like a little bit more of a syrupy sweetness. Mostly I'm tasting like the salty and the vinegar, but these are really tasty. I wouldn't hesitate to make these as a side dish. Also, I think after I fried the bacon, I would probably take it out of the pan, leave the drippings, and then add your other sauce ingredients, just so that afterwards you can kind of like keep it crispy and sprinkle it on top. Mixing it in and letting it cook in the liquid just kind of like took away all the crispness. I do like these. I would love to try this with fresh green beans. I bet it would be tasty. I'm pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure how this was going to go with all the 7-Up and stuff, but this is really good. I think I would make this again. I cooked a recipe from Put the Un in Cooking Fun with 7-Up, the Uncola. That title is still unbelievable to me. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this. I always say it, I'm having a great time making these videos. Have you ever seen this cookbook? Do you like the illustrations as much as I do? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you like what you're seeing, I'd love for you to subscribe. I put out videos every week. Thanks again, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.